The Dogon, the mysterious ET gods who came from the star Sirius in Mali of West Africa, lives a tribe of people called the Dogon. The Dogon are believed to be a race with astronomical knowledge going back thousands of years to 3200 BC. According to their traditions, Sirius, the Dogon system, forms a focus for the orbit of a tiny star, its companion Tolo. When Tolo is closest to Sirius, this star lights up, while when it is further removed from Sirius, it emits a flicker that gives the observer the impression of many stars. The orbital cycle lasts 50 years. The Dogon speak of the Nomos, amphibious deities who arrive from the sky in their imaginary celestial ships, in their craft, and they preached their teaching to a large crowd of people who gathered around the lake created by one of them. Some researchers investigating the Dogon have reported that they appear to possess the advanced astronomical knowledge, the nature and origin of which has subsequently sparked scientific debate. From 1931 to 1956, the French anthropologist Marcel Griaule studied the Dogon. In late 1946, Griaule spent 33 consecutive days in discussions with a wise Dogon elder, discussions that were the source of much of the future publications that did with Germain de Terlaine. The two French anthropologists reported that the Dogon believed that the brightest star in the sky, Sirius, or Shigui star, has two companion stars, Tolo, the millet star, and Eme for Tolo, the female Surgurn star, respectively the first and second of Sirius's eight companions. Sirius, in the Dogon system, forms a focus for the orbit of a tiny star, the companion of Tolo. When Tolo is closest to Sirius, this star lights up, while when it's farther removed from Sirius, it emits a flicker that gives the observer the impression of many stars. The orbital cycle lasts 50 years. Tolo, Sirius 2, is for the Dogons the tiniest star, but also the heaviest, so heavy that not even all the creatures of the world together can lift it. Its color is white and its orbit is elliptical. The people of the tribe believe that it makes one revolution around Sirius every 50 years, and even hold a special ceremony to commemorate this event. Griaule and de Terlaine also assert that the Dogon seem to have knowledge of the rings of Saturn and the moons of Jupiter, but it was not only Griaule and de Terlaine who were troubled by what they called the Sudanese star system. Mali until 1959 was called French Sudan. In 1976, Robert Temple wrote a book entitled The Mystery of Sirius, arguing that the Dogon system reveals an accurate knowledge of cosmological events known only since the development of modern astronomy, since they seem to know, as reported by Griaule and de Terlaine, that Sirius was part of a binary star system, but whose second star, Sirius B, a white dwarf, it was completely invisible to the human eye. Just as Tolo is a tiny one, it was known to the Dogons, and that it took 50 years to complete its orbit. The existence of Sirius B was only inferred to exist through the mathematical calculations made by Frederick Basel in 1844. Temple then argued that the Dogon information, if traced back to ancient Egyptian sources and myths, indicate an extraterrestrial transmission of knowledge to other stars. Neither Griaule nor de Terlaine had ever made such bold claims about the source of Dogon knowledge. According to the famous American astronomer Carl Sagan, West Africa had many visitors from technological civilizations located on Earth. The Dogon had traditionally had an interest in the sky and astronomical phenomena. If a European had visited the Dogon in the 1920s to 1930s, the conversation would most likely have turned to astronomical topics, including Sirius, the brightest star in the sky and a central figure in Dogon mythology. Also, in the 1920s, there was a lot of activity in the scientific press about Sirius, so by the time Griot left, the Dogon might have had an idea from 20th century technological issues brought to them by visitors from other parts of Earth, and they transmitted it through conversations. So we see that most researchers of this mystery either do not accept that the Dogon had this knowledge or consider that they acquired it from Western visitors. They rule out that they got themselves or from non-white Westerners. I'm not talking about alien here, although some researchers, for example, von Daniken, claim even that. However, none of these Western researchers bothered to take a look at the map of the area, because if they did, they would find that the Dogon country is 200 kilometers southwest of Timbuktu, one of the greatest spiritual centers of the Islamic world. Thousands of pages of manuscripts, many from the 13th century, were found there, not that they were hidden. Westerners only recently became aware of their existence. Many were damaged and torn. Several contained astronomical knowledge. Apparently, there are also translations as well as copies from non-Arabic older texts. Would it then be too risky to claim that some Dogon had come into contact with Timbuktu scholars, who imparted some knowledge to them? That some Dogon came down to the city for commercial reasons must be taken for granted, at least from some point onwards. Also, that some scholars and theologians went up to the villages to convert, for good this time, the locals to Islam. But does all this prove that the Dogon got their astronomical knowledge from the scholars of Timbuktu and those who found this knowledge? Yes, some of their astronomical knowledge seems to have been taken from the Arabs, but what about the star Sirius? Where and how did the Arabs, excellent otherwise astronomers, know that Sirius was a triple or even double star? Telescopes were invented in the 16th and 17th century. Isn't that so? Well, we know that even ancient Greeks had telescopes, by the way. So please leave your comments about this, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.